Hello, Palestine High School seniors and senior families. Here with Mr. Barton today. We're going to talk about the senior exit interview process, all the information you need to know to be prepared for that coming up later in April. So, Mr. Barton, I'll start with the basics. What is the exit interview? Why are we doing it? And what does it have to do with the new graduation pathways that's coming?
The senior exit interview process is part of the graduation pathways because it's an opportunity for our students to validate what they've learned over their high school career. The state of Indiana asks for students to have what are called employability skills, and our students will showcase those employability skills during the exit interview. The other thing that we love about the exit interview is it gives students an opportunity to participate in a real interview where they are sitting in a job interview scenario or a college entrance interview, just to give them that experience for their future.
Give me the when, where, all that stuff about exit interviews.
Wednesday, April 17th, our students at the high school will have the day off of school, and the seniors will come in for a 20-minute block of time. That should already be scheduled with their homeroom teacher. It'll be somewhere between 8 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That interview will consist of a couple of teachers, an administrator, and a couple of community members that will be in each interview with the senior.
If your exit interview is not scheduled yet, but you still need to do that, who do we need to talk to?
Your homeroom senior's homeroom teacher is the one in charge of scheduling each one of those interviews. So meet with the homeroom teacher and they can get that on the schedule.
So when we show up for the interview, talk to me about topics, what you're looking for, guidelines, things like that.
We've met with the seniors a couple times throughout the year, and the homeroom teachers have talked to the classes as well about what's called project-based, a service-based, or a work-based learning experience, and that will be the topic of the presentation. So, for example, a student who's participated in band or choir or athletics for a year, that would be their topic, and that would be considered service-based. Students who've had work, whether it be through cadet working or could be even a job outside of our school, those would count as well. And there are some service-based, some club-based opportunities for students who have been in activities. So that should already have been worked out with a homeroom teacher. Again, students, if you haven't talked to your homeroom teacher to get that approved, make sure that happens.
What are we going to need to do to prepare for this in terms of the presentation itself, but also any paperwork, forms, anything like that?
There are a couple pieces of paper that are important. On the student Canvas page, there are some blank documents. One is a validation paper, and that validation paper is just a list of questions that the student will go through and answer.
I'll put that on the screen here so you have an idea what that looks like. You can find on the Canvas page.
And that's simply going to go through and say, here are 5 categories that you need to validate that you've hit. Mindset, self-management skills, learning strategies, social skills, and workplace skills. So the students will go through and answer questions on that piece of paper, and then they'll also get a document signed by either their employer or their coach or their sponsor for the activity to turn in that they've actually completed the activity that they're doing their presentation on.
Last question. So walk me through kind of the schedule. You talked a little bit about it, but what actually happens on interview day when you show up at your specific assigned time?
Yeah, students will dress up, pretend like they're having a real job interview. They'll come in a few minutes early, make sure that they're ready to go. They'll be assigned a classroom, most likely their homeroom teacher's classroom. And once that 20-minute block starts, they'll go into the room, they'll see their teacher, a second teacher, a community member, and at least one administrator in the room. So they're presenting to 4 or 5 adults, which will be a little different for them. And then they'll do their presentation. We're leaving the presentation kind of wide open. There's not a specific template. They can do it as a PowerPoint, Google Slides. They can just do a speech, all kinds of opportunities. They can use video. They'll need to work that out with their homeroom teacher about what kind of technology they'll be using that day. And then basically they're going to take that validation worksheet that you put on the screen and they're going to go through and answer those 5 questions. They're going to give an example of how they've shown their mindsets, example of how they've done their self-management skills. One of the examples of learning strategies is your organization skills. So maybe that's going to be their topic to say, here's an example from my job or from my athletic event or from choir or band that I've shown organization skills. And then they'll do the same thing with social skills, workplace skills, and the other 2 mindsets as well. So they'll get an opportunity to show how they've applied those employability skills, and they just have to give evidence of that. So when we talk about how they're being graded on if they've shown evidence. So as long as they hit each one of those categories, they're fine. They've proven that they've shown those employability skills, and they're going to pass their exit interview.
Okay, so if any of our seniors or their parents have questions leading up to this, who is the best person to contact?
The first person is their homeroom teacher, because that will help them get everything organized and just make sure that they have their paperwork. And then the second person would be me. They can email me at abarton@newpal.k12.in.us.
I'll put that up here for just a second so you can copy that down if you need to. Anything else, Mr. Barton? I feel like we've covered it fairly well here.
This is one of those moments in a student's high school career that they get really stressed about. It's something they are not looking forward to, but I can guarantee almost every student we've ever had go through this, they walk out of that saying, that's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And from a parent perspective, it's great to see your student have this experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a 10-minute interview, and it makes the students a little uncomfortable, but it's something that is really, really good for their life experience.
All right, Mr. Barton, thank you. Again, any questions, direct your student to their homeroom teacher or contact Mr. Barton directly, and we'll get you sorted out before the exit interviews on April 17th. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.